Rob Thomas with Club and Resort Business, and welcome to another episode of the Club and Resort Talks podcast. Today's podcast is sponsored by Stone Group Architects. Stone Group Architects are experts in facilities master planning within the dynamic club industry. They are dedicated to creating vibrant spaces that elevate the lives of club members, ranging from luxurious clubhouses to sophisticated condos. Their designs are meticulously curated to offer upscale amenities that refine the club experience. Learn more at stonegrouparchitects.com. With that taken care of, let's introduce you to Phil Keren, our senior editor. Phil, how's it going?
I'm doing great, Rob. How are you?
Very, very good. No complaints. It's very hot, which it is across much of the country. The heat dome, I think, has got us all. So I'm staying cool inside in the air conditioning. So even though I'm wearing long sleeves right now, it's super hot outside.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's a hot one for sure. And thank goodness for air conditioning because it's been a hot week, as you know, here in Northeast Ohio where we are.
Yeah. Well, no complaints. I do not complain about the heat, considering how miserable our winters are, and the springs are awful usually as well. So, hey, bring on the heat. It's here for a week or two, and then it's back to normal. So, what are you seeing in the news, Phil?
Yes, kind of went with some different stories this week. I thought there was some interesting ones on our site this week about some interesting efforts going on around the country with golf courses. One in Evanston, Illinois, just outside of Chicago, home of Northwestern University. There is a course right now is called Canal Shores Golf Course. It's going to be renamed the Evans at Canal Shores. That's in honor or in memory of Chick Evans, who attended high school in Evanston, also became a great amateur golfer. And I thought this was interesting. So instead of turning professional, Chick Evans actually worked with the Western Golf Association to use the earnings from his golf career to establish the Evans Scholars Foundation in 1930. And the foundation has awarded full tuition and college scholarships to more than 13,000 youth caddies. So I thought that was an interesting story to read about Chick Evans. And then the golf course itself, that'll bear his name, the Evans at Canal Shores, is supposed to reopen next year with an upgraded par 60 18-hole golf course, also a youth development training center, and Western Golf Association Caddie Academy. Say that 3 times fast. But Kemper Sports is doing this also in conjunction with the Canal Shores board, doing that together as far as the nonprofit course itself is funded through partnership of golf industry leaders, includes the Western Golf Association and Evans Scholars Foundation, like we mentioned, but also First Tee of Greater Chicago, Wadsworth Golf Charities, the Chicago District Golf Association, and some private contributions as well. So kind of a cool story. Look forward to seeing the course reopened with all those different facilities too, to help more young people learn how to play the game of golf, but also how to serve as a caddy for the game too. Good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, excellent story coming out of Evanston. Love to see it, and there's cool logo too of an owl perched on a golf club. And the Evans is an easy way to go. It sounds like a nifty way to play. So good stuff out of Evanston.
Yeah, excellent. In the Midwest there, and now we'll go to the East. Winnetka Country Club in Hamburg, New York, had its 9th annual golf marathon this past week. There was a group of 28 players who started teeing off at 5:20 a.m. and they played and walked 100 holes of golf in the one-day tournament. You had some 3 relay teams with a women's team, a men's team, and a team of Winnetka past presidents. It's also known as the Walk for Luca and Carly, and then 4 spelled Fore. Walk for Luca and Carly, and so it benefits the Roswell Parks Courage of Carly Fund for programs that support pediatric cancer patients and their families. And the other fund is the Live Like Luca, the Luca S. Kalani Foundation. And I read real quickly, Rob, the Courage of Carly Foundation Fund was started in memory of Carly Catone, who is a girl who was diagnosed with brain cancer at the age of 8. when she was 9, she actually started her own group to help other children who were facing similar battles. She started that. It was called Carly's Club initially, and now it's been carried on. I mean, she has sadly passed away, but her effort has been carried on through the Courage of Carly Fund and the Luca Calani Foundation. It's also known as Live Like Luca, formed in honor of Luca Calani, the son of the club members Ashley and Bodge Calani. Luca unfortunately suddenly died of a complications of flu in January of 2020. So this program, that foundation was set up in his memory, but really neat to see. And that one's actually raised more than 100. Last year's event raised more than $188,000 for both of those causes. I'm assuming they were hoping to raise that much this year. Hopefully they did. I don't know about you, Rob, but I would love to try to play a marathon. I've never tried the marathon golf thing, but certainly for a good cause like this, I would definitely be game to do that.
Yeah, fun fact, I guess it would have been late 80s, early 90s. I played in 100 holes of golf for the American Cancer Society. We rode in golf carts the whole day, though. So a lot different than walking 18 holes at a time up and down. I don't know how hilly Wanaka is, but man alive, 100 holes is a lot. 100 holes in a golf cart is a lot. 100 holes walking is a crazy amount. Hopefully they had caddies, and imagine there's tag team caddies if they did, right? They're not be carrying a bag of clubs around all day long. But God bless them. This is fantastic. I love to see it.
Yeah, definitely an excellent story. And yeah, I'll have to give that marathon golf thing a try sometime. That'd be interesting to see how I could do. Who knows? Maybe play will improve as I'm going along there. The muscle memory will come back as I'm going through those 100 holes. I hope.
Yeah, well, I was probably just 18 years old at the time. So
Mhm.
it's a lot different than you and I in our 50s trying to get out there and swing the club over and over
Yes.
and over again. I did play very well, but I was playing really good golf back then. So uh,
Mhm.
now I think I'd probably collapse. I don't think I could do it.
I tell you what, the way the heat was this week, I definitely would not have been able to make a 100-hole round, or I don't even know what we call it, a round or journey, I guess would be a
Yeah.
good word for that, right? There you go. And then again, let's see, my last stuff I was going to mention today, Rob. Again, well, one in the East Coast and one in the Midwest. A couple of interesting courses happening here as well, sort of alternative approaches to golf courses. There is a short course proposed at Stanage Club in Greenwich, Connecticut. That one, they're looking to introduce a new short course on a 21-acre site. It'll be called the Cauldron. It'll be a quicker game, about half the number of holes as a standard 18-hole course. It's a good format for those looking to improve their skills or just enjoy a fast round of golf. And I'm assuming it would be great for beginners as well. And I thought it was interesting because the story mentioned the fact that promises to alleviate congestion on the main course and appeal to a wider range of players. And I noticed, um, I have noticed, Rob, that we've seen more and more examples of golf courses that have, a standard 18-hole par 70, 71, 72 layout, um, looking to add some kind of short course or a par 3 or executive par 3 or something like that to, I suppose, I'm sure actually, to take advantage of the fact that we have a lot of newer golfers coming to the sport. And I think it's great to see with this one at the club in Connecticut.
Yeah, that's terrific. I know a lot of courses are blessed with some unused territory, whether
Mhm.
it's wooded or just kind of just nothing's been done there. Putting a little 9-hole golf course, a little pitch and putt is a fantastic idea. It's a great way to get more people involved in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is too, I think it's helpful, as they said, alleviating congestion on the main course. Um, for perhaps more serious players that are looking to move around the course quicker, um, gives the beginners a chance to try out their skills at a shorter course first. So, and the last one I was going to mention today, in Chaska, Minnesota, the Loop Golf Course has been designed with wheelchair users in mind. It's a 9-hole par 28 course. It was actually created through a partnership between the city of Chaska and an organization called Barrier Free Golf. The course layout actually eliminates a traditional barriers such as sand traps and rough terrain to allow accessibility for everybody. And the course is still challenging because it has a strategic use of land contours and large greens. So that would make for a good and challenging course. And the other thing that I thought was interesting about it, they mentioned in that story that we posted this week that it's yeah, they also have specialty golf carts at the Loop Golf Course that allows wheelchair users to stand and swing, promoting a more inclusive golfing experience. So nice to see that one too. That would be an interesting course to check out.
I wish, and I know that there's been a drive through the American, I can't think of the initials right now, but it's helping disabled, to get golf carts at every golf course, one
Yes.
golf cart at least, to get people out there that maybe used to play. Maybe they had a stroke and they can't walk anymore. They can't walk a golf course at least. It'd be nice to have something like that, and they have special tires so you can drive on the greens and you're not damaging it, obviously. But it's a great story. I love the loop. I love the concept of the loop. Chaska, Minnesota. A lot of good stuff happening up there. So I got a buddy who can't play golf anymore, based on a unfortunate debilitating disease he's been stricken with. But he loves golf and he would love to get out there. And unfortunately, the golf courses in our area don't offer such, an amenity. But it'd be fantastic if they could.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love your idea that of having that every course could strive for that, to try to have a cart that would be that would accommodate that for people for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of money,
Yeah.
but there are donations out there. If people can come together and just get one golf cart at every club, it'd be fantastic. Who knows? Maybe clubs could pull together and on a weekend have a rotating tournament where you can get several people, get a foursome out there that can
Mhm.
play. But I don't know. Just spitballing here. I really didn't give much thought. A lot of things I say don't really come with much thought. So that's just out there. Put it out there. ADA, American Disabilities Act or whatever. So
Oh yeah, Americans with that's what you're looking for. Yeah, you're right. It is called the Americans with Disabilities Act.
yeah, and there's a
Right.
group within there that's trying to
Mhm.
to make
Yeah.
things more accessible. So I would love to see it.
Yeah, and actually, we were just talking about different golf outings to benefit different causes. It seems like that would be a fantastic idea for a club to have a golf outing to raise money for to have a wheelchair and other types of equipment to accommodate people on a golf course.
Yeah, that'd be
Throw down
fantastic. That'd be
all that.
fantastic. People first.
Absolutely.
Speaking of people first, our guest today, Brock Orlowski, not to be confused with Dan Orlovsky of Detroit Lions fame or infamy, as he's the one that ran out of the back of the end zone for a safety while looking to pass. But anyways, Brock Orlowski from Fort Wayne Country Club in Indiana talked about the Directors Club of America, tennis, racquetball, pickleball. I don't know, maybe racquetball is kind of a stretch there. Pickleball, padel. It's growing right now in the club space. And what is the Directors Club of America doing? He's new to the about a year. He's been involved in the thing. He's only been a club pro for about 3 years, but he's kind of along with the rising tide, and he's helping people to join forces. He's written a column. It's on our website right now, clubandresortbusiness.com. And I look forward to sharing his insights with you if you want to stick around for the rest of the podcast. Hello, and welcome
Okay,
back to the
sounds
Club
good.
and Resort Talks podcast. I'm Rob Thomas, and I've got Brock Orlowski, Director of Racquet Sports at Fort Wayne Country Club. Brock, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Grateful to be here.
Thank you for coming. Hey, real quick, if you could give us a background, your background a little bit, and tell us about the club.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got kind of a diverse background and fell into the club and resort life a little bit later in my career than maybe most, and didn't necessarily pursue it outright. But yeah, got my start. I was a school teacher, and I was also a high school tennis coach. And from there, I knew I wanted to be involved in tennis, wanted to be involved in rackets, but wasn't sure in what capacity. So that's where it started for me. Just school teacher, teaching high school, coaching the boys and girls. Eventually went through my USPTA certifications, did all of those type of things. Ended up working at a commercial racket club on the side in the winters and in the summers, on top of coaching. And then kind of decided from there, my wife and I were like, yeah, let's go all in on this. So I started pursuing collegiate opportunities. Coached at an NAI school called Huntington University here in Indiana, and coached there for 3 years as an assistant, along with being a full-time teaching pro. And then from there, I took the head men's and women's tennis job at Indiana Tech, where I spent 4 seasons coaching their teams. Had a lot of fun with them in the NAI ranks, and we were able to build our teams into a pretty solid national contender. Winning our conference and et cetera. So it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. But for me, I really wanted to be on the instructional side. I really enjoyed the community aspect of being at a club. I loved the high level of impact you can have with students and different members, where you can spend a lot of time together one-on-one. And I love the high level of collegiate, but I have 5 kids. And so it was difficult to travel and have a lot of constant recruiting and everything. So I wanted a little more of that ease of life as well. Not that it's easy to be a club director, but at the same time, I knew it was going to give me a little more flexibility to be home with my kids, to have a little more of an impact at home than I did when I was coaching college. So from there, I came to Fort Wayne Country Club, took over as their director of Racquet Sports about 3 years ago now, and I've been enjoying every second of it. It's a unique community here. We have the unique opportunity to have indoor and outdoor facilities in the northeast part of Indiana, which is rare for a country club. So we have year-round Racquets amenities, which allows us the opportunity to work with our members constantly. And it's a really fun opportunity for me, because I get to work with kids that are 5 years old, and I get to give 95-year-old pickleball lessons. So it's a fun job, and it's been at times an uphill battle to build our program and to really keep up with the boom of the rackets industry and to stay current and relevant within the industry. So we've got a great staff and team here, and it's been a true pleasure and honor to work at Fort Wayne Country Club and continue to build on the things that have happened in the past, but to ride this wave of rackets and to continue to build into the future.
Wow, man, from teaching kids to teaching pickleball. That's quite a journey right there. Fantastic. Love to hear it. It's kind of a dream job, right? For somebody who obviously loves racket sports to be so immersed within the industry. And I mean, your day to day is rackets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, rackets it's that term. Everybody keeps saying it, but what does it mean? I feel like it's one of those things that's still a little bit difficult to understand at times. So we're trying to bring a little more definition to that. What is rackets? Is it just a tennis racket? Is it called a pickleball racket, or is it a paddle? But really, it's this holistic idea of, we have all of these different sports that fall under the umbrella, whether it's pickleball or tennis. Then you have the variations of those, like pop tennis and spec tennis. You have platform or paddle tennis. You have Padel, that's growing in the southeast part of our country and is booming in Europe. So we have this changing perspective of what rackets is, but that gets to be my everyday of exploring the opportunities that could benefit our members and bring more amenities to our club, but also that fits with the geographic realities of being in Indiana versus in South Florida. And so it's been a lot of fun to dive into those things, to learn along the way, and then to educate our members on what we're trying to accomplish, and to give them as many opportunities to participate in their club as possible.
Well, our mutual friend Jarrett Chirico and I were talking. He was on the podcast not too long ago. We're talking about rising tide lifts all ships, and how COVID was bad for America, bad for the world, but good for the club industry. Pickleball took off, but as it was taking off, rackets, other racket sports were coming right along with it. Tennis is as big as it's been since I was a kid. Can you explain? I know that's part of the Directors Club mission, is to really grow the industry, but also from within the industry. Can you talk a little bit about your involvement with the Directors Club and how you see what interested you in the Directors Club?
Yeah, well, first of all, Jarrett, he's top shelf as an individual and as a person, and then you obviously factor in his playing background, his director roles, and now obviously being at one of the best clubs in the state of Texas and probably in the country. He's an incredible person, and he and Chris Gale and Michael Jordan, not from the Bulls, but from now Texas at Dallas Country Club. But yeah, they really brought in this idea of, we need to continue to learn and to push this industry forward, so that we're not just behind the 8 ball from what people are clamoring for. We're out in front of it, and we're industry trailblazers, and we're leading the charge to set ourselves up for 10, 20, 30 plus year careers, but also for the people that are behind us coming up in the next generations. So this Directors Club of America that they started is a way to gather all of these different people from around the country. Like, I came from Indiana, but I was sitting at tables with people from San Diego, California, from Long Island, New York. And we're from all across the country meeting together with the common purpose of growing our industry. And with the boom of pickleball that you mentioned, but also with the upcoming boom of sports like Padel, which many people may have never even heard of, but is coming quickly. We're going to see those sports becoming a bigger part of the DNA of our junior programming, a part of high school, sponsored sports. I know in our state of Indiana, they're already pursuing potential pickleball affiliation with the IHSAA. And so we want to be at the forefront of that with the Directors Club. And my involvement, I've been a member for about a year now, but when I first heard about it, I was like, this is exactly what we need. And I want to be around the people that are having these high level conversations and learn from them so that I can not only bring things back to my own club, but I can be for myself on the cutting edge of what we're trying to do. And I think it's been a really unique opportunity for myself to learn from these people that have been through the fire of when rackets were on a bit of a decline, so to speak. And now we're seeing coming through COVID, the next wave coming along. So it's really for me important to stay current, stay relevant. And I think the Directors Club is not only that, but it's continuing to, push a trajectory even higher than we could have ever imagined.
You talked about sitting at the table with someone from San Diego, somebody from Long Island. That was the retreat, the Directors Club retreat at Boca West Country Club. Tell me a little bit about that particular retreat, what you guys touched upon, what you took from that retreat back to Indiana with you, and that your members now reaping the rewards.
Yeah, well, the retreats, I can't speak highly enough about Boca West Country Club. I mean, if you haven't been down there, it's next level. It's truly unbelievable, the amenities, but the service, and really that for me, the service was a perfect epitome of what the Directors Club is really about, which is the people. You have a great culture of people who are going to work at a club for its membership. You're going to have a great example of something you want to provide for your own members when you go back home. So I left with probably bigger than anything else. The impression left on me was, what's the impact I have on the people around me? And it's not just the kids that I'm teaching how to hit a forehand, or the 3-0 lady that's trying to bump up to 3-5 and play USTA matches. It's, how am I impacting the staff I work with and that work for me? How am I impacting the food and beverage staff that I work with? What's the example I am setting as a director? Because as a manager in a role, you want to make sure that you're not just simply a boss dictating what's happening. You want to be setting the tone for this is how things should go. And you want to be the prime example of that. So the retreat for me was a great eye opener for how I need to view myself as a manager, as a director, as a leader, by learning from all these guys that have been through or leading some of the most successful clubs in the U.S. Some clubs that are turning 8-figure profits in just the rackets department, and that's, for me, that's remarkable. And it's not necessarily something that's going to replicate at every place, but if you can take samples of that and bring it back and improve your own culture with where you are, and you can actually absolutely blossom where you're planted, that's what I was interested in. And so for me, that was my biggest takeaway is the people. That's what the job is. And if we forget that, then you're forgetting your purpose. Because if I get out of bed every day and I just think, all right, I got to go on the court and I'm going to teach 6 hours of tennis and pickleball lessons, and I've got to design programming and high level tournaments and events, it's going to seem monotonous. It's going to seem a little bit boring at times, or maybe it's just going to wear you down. But if I'm going out there and I'm thinking, what impact can I have on the kids today or my staff today? And you start to look at it from a people perspective, that's really, for me, that was a paradigm shifter for sure.
Yeah, that's one thing that I know that Jarrett was stressing. That's more than just about the industry. It's about the people, not only that you're teaching, but the people that are working with you. And one thing we touched upon was he's at the pinnacle of the industry. He's been, director, like you say, one of the, if not the foremost club in the country. But he's not afraid to ask for help. He's not afraid to ask the questions, right? So, where do you see that as far as asking? You've been in the industry now for a little while. You've been, you said what, 3 years? You said you've been a member of the Directors Club for a year. What are you learning as far as from the people that have been there before you, and the people that, what are you handing down to the people that are behind you?
Yeah, well, I think that's the question right there, that we all need to explore more for ourselves is what are we trying to accomplish in our own careers, but then what is the legacy we're going to leave? So for me, I think I've always viewed asking questions as a sign of weakness, because it's saying, I don't know. I don't know the answer, and I don't want people to know that I don't know. So I think a lot of what the Directors Club is all about is perfectly fine to ask questions. It's actually a sign of humility, but it's a sign of strength to ask for help, because you want to get better, you want to grow, you want to adapt, you want to overcome, but you want to also build a culture of people that are okay doing that too. You don't want to have a staff that's afraid to come to you with a question, or that's trying to make up answers because they want to deliver some sort of product that isn't real, and then you're going to end up getting in trouble because you're giving misinformation to people. And you could have just said, you know what, I don't know, I'm going to go try to find that answer for you. And I think for myself, just growing up, that was very different for me. That's just not how the normal. I was never one to want to ask for help or questions. And I think as I've grown in my career and gotten more involved with different organizations such as Directors Club or USPTA or what have you, that's been one of my biggest points of learning, that I need to kind of humble myself and realize I don't have it all figured out. And if I pretend to, then I'm a phony. And if I ask questions, not only am I going to find the answers more than likely, but I'm going to find people that are willing to help, which means I'm going to have more connections and more opportunity to rub shoulders with those who have been through what I'm going through, or just have insights on how to cope or tread water, whatever it looks like. So I think that's one of my biggest takeaways, is not being afraid to ask questions, because it's a strength. It's not a weakness to not know and ask.
I love it. Leading from the front, not from the rear, right? You're helping people up along the way. I'll get you out on this one. I want you to take your crystal ball out. I ask people this all the time. What do you see in industry 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road? You're still young. You've got some time in here to help things come along. What are you
Yeah.
seeing in your crystal ball?
It's funny to think about, because if you asked me that question 5, 10 years ago, the answer is a lot different, because it's singular focus on tennis. Whereas now, with the growth of rackets, we're going to see growth of tennis, but also of all these other sports. So, I mean, in the next 5 years, I know the USTA is hoping to get to 35 million active players, which is about a tenth of the population of the US. I think that's a phenomenal goal, and it's growing to get more people involved, but it's also growing to get more people involved because they love it and then tell their friends about it. So I think we're going to see pickleball continue to boom. At some point, it has to level out. There's no chance it can continue to rise at the rate it has, just because of the sheer volume of its initial 5, 10 year boom here. But we're going to see pickleball rise and continue. We're going to see people hear about and start learning about and installing and being involved in Padel. I really think that's going to be a wave of the future. In some of our cold weather states, we still have platform tennis, which is a big and high level game that people love to play. It's a outdoor winter sport. I think that's going to rise. And then I think we're going to see shifts in things like your state and high school level. You're going to have pickleball teams. You're going to have these teams that travel and play other high schools. You're going to have colleges that some already have started clubs, but you're going to have a formal NCAA sport of pickleball. You're going to have pickleball in the Olympics. I think all of those things are going to happen in the next, maybe not 5 years, but 10 or more for sure, where a lot of these things are going to be more at the forefront. Because in the US, we see American football, which I love. I'm a Lions fan, by the way, so I finally get to talk about my favorite team, which never happened in my lifetime, but just a shameless plug there for the Lions. But at the end of the day, sports like American football are not declining, but they're not always going to completely dominate the fall market of the seasons. We're going to have more people playing tennis, more people playing pickleball, Padel platform, and et cetera. And I think rackets will continue to be on the rise. And I think that's only because, too, people are realizing the value of clubs. Clubs are not just a place to go and get high level instruction. It's a community of people. And that's for me, one of the things that I enjoy most about my position is meeting people from all walks of life, who it's not just your doctors and lawyers. It's not just like a stuffy place that people are going with their noses in the air and looking down on blue collar work. That's not it at all. We have people from all walks of life that are members at our club. And I love that about our club. And I think the industry of clubs, along with rackets, are going to continue to be hand in hand, moving the industries both forward. And I think with each other's help, we'll see huge success. So we'll see. I would love to say I have a specific crystal ball answer, but the only thing I do see in my crystal ball is growth over the next 5, 10 years for the industry, which for me is very exciting. And it's a little bit nerve wracking because you want to get it right. You want to make sure your culture is set. You want to make sure you're doing the right things to position yourself and your club and your staff well, so that your members can benefit. And I just encourage anybody who, doesn't have a current tie to something like the Directors Club to join, Directors Club, or get yourself connected with those that you can learn from, that you can bounce ideas off of, and have some sort of sounding board. Because if you don't, you're going to end up behind the 8 ball, and you're going to be basically left by the wayside. And that's, sounds like doom and gloom, but I think it's actually exciting, because that means we have a trajectory that's positive in our country, which is phenomenal.
So Brock Orlowski, not to be confused with Dan Orlovsky of Detroit Lions fame and running out of the back,
Oh yeah.
back of the end zone. How can people get a hold of you if they have questions about the Directors Club or about anything that's going on at your club? How can they help you? How can you help them?
Yeah, well, I'm an open book, and if anybody wants to reach out, my email is on our website. I'd be more than happy to correspond via email. I'm on LinkedIn, Brock Orlowski on LinkedIn, and then I have various other forms of social media. But at the end of the day, come to some of these conferences, get involved, and I think that's one of the biggest things. If you want to meet people, or if you want to see what everything's about, you have to take a little bit of a leap of faith and take that jump and get signed up to go see what it's all about, see what it's like. Because the Directors Club, for me, was way out of my comfort zone. I felt like I was small potatoes in comparison to so many of these people. But I was on the phone earlier this week with Chris Gale for about 15 minutes, and he runs a very high level club also in Texas. And he took time as he was sitting in the airport to just chat with me about life and about my current role and how to grow and things like that. And he didn't have to do that. He very easily could have just sent me a text or just ignored me or whatever, but he took that time. And that's really what we're looking for is the community. So if anybody's ever interested, I'd be more than happy to chat about rackets industry, Lions football, or whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, it's not just about what we can learn; it's about what we can teach. And we need to have that two-way street. We need to have people that are pouring into us, and then we therefore need to pour out into other people. So I'm always open. Feel free to send me an email, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'd love to get in touch.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much for your time, Brock. Have a great day.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Have a good one.